In the southern plains of Cambodia, a quiet countryside is about to be transformed into one of the most controversial construction zones in Southeast Asia, as the nation challenges nature and its neighbors with one daring megaproject. Often described as Cambodia's Suez, this 180-kilometer canal is so bold, so geopolitically charged, that it has drawn the attention of every power from China to Vietnam. This is not just another infrastructure upgrade. It is a move that could alter river flows, trade routes, and the fragile balance of power in the Mekong Basin. For generations, Cambodia has been dependent on its neighbors for access to the sea, its exports funneled through foreign ports and foreign decisions. But now, the country is attempting a breakaway, an audacious bid for maritime independence through a man-made artery meant to finally give Cambodia control of its own route to the sea. Supporters hail it as the project that will finally free Cambodia's economy. Critics warn it could trigger ecological shockwaves and geopolitical tension unlike anything the region has seen in decades. Today, let's delve into Cambodia's $1.7 billion Funan Techo Canal megaproject. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button and like this video, as it's the best way to support this channel. For years, Cambodia has faced a structural disadvantage. It sits on the Mekong River, but lacks independent access to the sea. Nearly all exports must pass through Vietnam's ports, raising freight costs, slowing transit, and leaving Cambodia vulnerable to decisions made in Vietnam. Growing trade has intensified congestion at Vietnamese gateways, costing Cambodia days and millions in transit fees. Meanwhile, Mekong water levels have become increasingly unreliable due to climate pressures, salinity intrusion, and upstream changes, disrupting navigation. For Cambodia, securing its own maritime corridor has shifted from aspiration to necessity. This urgency revived the long-discussed idea of a southern canal. Early studies in the 2000s mapped potential routes from the Mekong tributaries near Phnom Penh to the Gulf of Thailand. But lacking financing, political stability, and foreign partners, the idea never advanced. The concept regained momentum in the mid-2010s as China's Belt and Road Initiative transformed Cambodia's infrastructure. Chinese state-owned firms conducted hydrological and engineering surveys, identifying a viable path from the Basak River to the coast. Momentum accelerated after Hun Manet became prime minister in 2023. Rebranded the Funan Techo Canal, it was promoted as a century project to lower logistics costs, secure export routes, and strengthen Cambodia's position in ASEAN trade networks. By 2025, feasibility studies, financing structures, and national approvals were in place, turning a distant idea into a flagship megaproject driven by economic pressure, regional politics, and a renewed push for independence. The Funan Techo Canal is planned as a 180-kilometer inland waterway linking Cambodia's capital, Phnom Penh, to the Gulf of Thailand. With a width of about 100 meters and an average depth of 5.4 meters, it is designed to accommodate cargo vessels of up to 3,000 tons, establishing a significant new commercial corridor, even if not on the scale of the world's largest canals. The canal begins just south of Phnom Penh at the Mekong River, connects into the Basak River, and then breaks away from the natural system to cut across Cambodia's southern lowlands, crossing farmland, rural communities, and wetlands before reaching the Gulf of Thailand. Along this corridor, it will function as far more than a simple water channel. A series of navigation locks will manage elevation changes and regulate water movement between the inland river system and the coast, an essential feature in a region where levels shift dramatically with the monsoon. A series of floodgates, embankments, and levees will manage flows, aiming to keep salty seawater from creeping too far inland while reducing flood risk in the rainy season. Reinforced banks and ongoing dredging will maintain depth and protect against erosion. The design also incorporates new bridges to maintain road connectivity and logistics hubs to cluster warehouses, factories, and port services along the canal. In the bigger picture, The canal is designed to integrate seamlessly with Cambodia's growing transport network, giving the Phnom Penh Autonomous Port a direct route to the sea. With a cost estimated at $1.7 billion, it is envisioned as a new economic spine for southern Cambodia, supporting industrial corridors and long-term regional development. Turning this vision into reality requires a precisely staged construction strategy. Work begins with detailed land surveys and geotechnical investigations to map soil layers along the route. Once this groundwork is complete, large-scale excavation can proceed, cutting through sections of firm clay, loose sediment, and irrigated farmland. Cambodia's monsoon climate remains one of the greatest engineering challenges. Heavy rains from May to October can destabilize embankments and inundate work sites, forcing contractors to build temporary diversion channels, drainage systems, and protective dikes. Excavation must be timed around the wet season, with vulnerable stretches strengthened to prevent erosion or collapse. Dredging is another significant hurdle. Maintaining a consistent depth along the 180-kilometer canal requires removing millions of cubic meters of sediment. Managing this material, whether used for embankments, land reclamation, or safe disposal, demands rigorous planning to avoid damaging surrounding waterways and ecosystems. Water management lies at the core of the canal's design. Because it connects inland rivers to the sea, engineers must prevent saltwater intrusion during the dry season when river flows weaken. A system of locks, gates, and hydraulic barriers will regulate water levels, but any imbalance could affect agriculture, fisheries, and local freshwater supplies. On land, the project requires thousands of hectares and may involve relocating communities, demanding fair compensation and strong social safeguards. The canal also crosses ecologically sensitive areas, requiring strong environmental mitigation to protect wetlands and biodiversity. Ultimately, the project's success depends on disciplined execution and the ability to balance technical ambition with environmental and regional responsibilities. The Funan Techo Canal will be delivered through a build-operate-transfer arrangement led by the Chinese state-owned enterprise China Road and Bridge Corporation. Under this model, CRBC will finance and construct the canal, operate it for a lengthy concession period, and later transfer ownership to Cambodia. For Cambodia, this structure reduces immediate fiscal pressure while still securing a strategically important national asset. Cambodia expects future revenue from tolls, canal operations, and industrial zones developed along the corridor. For China, the project reinforces its Belt and Road Initiative and provides long-term influence in a key transport corridor near the Gulf of Thailand. While both governments frame the canal as a commercial venture, analysts view it as part of China's broader geopolitical footprint in the Mekong region. The timeline reflects the project's scale. A symbolic groundbreaking ceremony was held in August 2024, and initial land clearance and survey work has already begun. Full land preparation and early construction activities are expected to accelerate after the 2025 monsoon season, with phased excavation and lock construction planned between 2026 and 2028. Trial navigation could begin in 2029, with full completion targeted for the early 2030s. Although Cambodia aims for completion in the early 2030s, delays caused by weather, geology, financing, or political tensions remain possible. The coming years will reveal whether this ambitious timeline can withstand real-world challenges. From the moment it was announced, the Funan Techo Canal has faced intense controversy, especially from Vietnam. The Mekong Delta, its agricultural heartland and home to tens of millions, is already under pressure from rising seas, subsidence, and reduced sediment due to upstream dams. Vietnamese experts fear that diverting water into a Cambodian canal could further reduce freshwater flows, intensify dry season shortages, and push saltwater deeper inland. Vietnam argues the project should undergo a Mekong River Commission review, while Cambodia insists it draws from tributaries, not the main Mekong, and therefore complies with regional rules. Beneath this technical dispute lies long-standing mistrust between the two neighbors. Environmental groups add further concern, warning the canal could disrupt wetlands, fish migration, and rural communities. Cambodia says assessments were completed, but limited transparency fuels skepticism. Geopolitical suspicion heightens the tension. Critics in Vietnam and the West worry the canal, alongside Chinese-backed upgrades at Ream Naval Base, could expand China's influence near key sea lanes. Cambodia and China deny any military intent, but in a region where infrastructure and strategy often blend, concerns persist. The Funan Techo Canal promises to reshape Cambodia's economic future. By creating a direct shipping route from Phnom Penh to the Gulf of Thailand, officials say it could reduce logistics costs by 30 to 40%, making Cambodian exports, from rice and cassava to garments and manufactured goods, far more competitive. New industrial zones and logistics hubs along the corridor could attract factories, warehouses, and agribusiness operations, spreading development beyond the capital. Construction is expected to generate tens of thousands of jobs, with thousands more created once the canal and its terminals become operational. Most importantly, the waterway would give Cambodia greater control over its trade routes, reducing reliance on Vietnamese ports and offering a symbolic step toward economic autonomy. Yet the canal's future remains delicately balanced. If engineering challenges are managed, environmental impacts contained, and regional tensions eased, it could become the backbone of a new Cambodian growth era, integrating the country more deeply into global supply chains. Success will depend on transparent hydrological data, fair handling of land acquisition and resettlement, and effective environmental safeguards. For China, the canal expands its infrastructure footprint. For Vietnam, it raises concerns over water security. For Cambodia, it is a high-stakes gamble that could deliver new independence or deepen reliance on its most powerful partner.